Hello, my name is Dr. Denise Brown-Triolo. I am a school psychologist and the director of Lawrence School's Student Advocacy and Support Services, or SAS office. Our office includes 6 school psychologists at both campuses who coordinate a variety of services for our students. We support our families, teachers, staff, and students in the mission of Lawrence School. We assist families with maintaining state scholarship funding and advocate for student needs during district meetings. We also coordinate with districts to assist in the development of eligibility and other documents. During all of these tasks, our school psychology minds are interpreting the data that has been collected so that we can best communicate our students' needs. Today, I'm here to talk a bit about some of those data collection activities at our lower school campus. At Lawrence School, we monitor our students' academic growth very closely. This is how we know that our program is working. Just like how your pediatrician monitors your child's height, weight, and overall health so they can provide the best guidance for their health and development, we do the same thing for their learning. Your doctor might use tools like a thermometer or scale to gather this data, but we use a group of curriculum-based tools called aimswebPLUS. We assess every student's reading, writing, and math skills and document their progress to determine if we need to make any changes in how we deliver our instruction. Today, I'm going to tell you a little more about how to interpret some of the aimswebPLUS graphs. So first, what is aimswebPLUS? aimswebPLUS is a computer-based program used to periodically assess academic skills to be sure that students are making progress. It allows us to compare a student's results to an expected skill level so that we can make adjustments to what we are doing in the classroom. The aimswebPLUS program allows us to take 2 different kinds of measurements of student skills: periodic benchmarks, and when needed, more frequent progress monitoring assessments. Our benchmark assessments in reading, math, and writing are given 3 times per year. The assessments that each student takes depends on their grade level. A score is then compared to a benchmark or an expectation for their grade level for the fall, the winter, and the spring time periods. Progress monitoring, the other kind of aimswebPLUS assessment, occurs when certain skills are well below the benchmark, and more frequent assessment is needed at the student's ability level. The aimswebPLUS measures include academic skills linked to fluency and to automaticity. Today, I'm going to show you a sample of a benchmark graph and a progress monitoring graph. It is my hope to remove the mystery from these data graphs so you can better understand your child's specific skills. When we look at these graphs, it is important to remember that they are snapshots of student skill on a particular day. Like many things, we vary in how we perform from one day to the next. And because of that, we will always look at trends of performance over time. This is an example of an aimswebPLUS benchmark graph. You'll notice at the top of the page, you'll see some identifying information like the type of report, your child's name, the test given, and a school year. For example, this is the oral reading fluency individual benchmark for Larry Lyon, who is in 4th grade. Each graph will give a comparison to a national sample or expectation for that time period. We are using the national norms. Your child's score will be represented as a small black and yellow dot on the graph. Along the bottom of the graph, you will see the periods of time of the benchmark, and along the left-hand side, you will see numbers reflecting scores. Each benchmark period will have a color-coded vertical rectangle that indicates the ranges for skills that are either below average, in the yellow, average, in green, and above average for that test in teal. Below the graph, you will see a table that lists more specific information about the student's performance or score for that test. Since this is just a test reflecting fall, There's only information in the fall table. Later on through the year, you will see information that includes winter and spring benchmarks. You will also see a score that includes the rate of improvement. The rate of improvement, or ROI, is a score that reflects the periods of time between benchmarks and how fast a student is growing. You can make a comparison to a national sample and see if your student is growing at a similar rate to an average student across the school year. Finally, on this test report for oral reading fluency, you will see a score that is called a Lexile. This is a derived or estimated Lexile score that indicates the level of text that the student should be able to read and comprehend independently. This is an example of an aimswebPLUS progress monitoring graph. Remember, progress monitoring assessments are more frequently, like weekly or every 2 weeks, and they are used to look at areas of greater need. Students who have progress monitoring graphs have their skills monitored because they're having difficulty with material at their assigned grade level. So progress monitoring will happen at a lower grade level until they improve in that skill. This allows the student's practice level to match what they are learning. Along the top of the progress monitoring graph, you will also see some identifying information like you did in the benchmark graph. But take note that the measure section here will indicate the level of material being used. This will not be the same as their grade level. For instance, this is an oral reading fluency individual monitoring at the 3rd grade level for Larry Lyon, who is actually a 4th grader. This graph does look a little bit different from the benchmarking graph because it shows skills across weeks and months, and not just at very specific benchmarks or time periods. In this graph, the student's score is represented as a small black dot, and each time a student is monitored, a new score is added to the graph. Before we start any progress monitoring, our school administrators will set a long-term goal, which is seen on the graph as this vertical bar. The filled-in area of that bar indicates how much work a student has made towards that set goal. For instance, you can see that Larry Lyon has made a lot of gains in his oral reading fluency and is very, very high up and working really, really well towards his goal. There are also 2 lines going from the left to the right on the graph. These are called trend lines. These start at the benchmark and work this one towards the goal, and this one is the best fit between Larry's actual scores. So you can see he's making quite a bit of progress at a rate of improvement that is higher than what we set for him. The chart at the bottom gives very specific dates and associated scores, and also a comparison of a student's improvement rate compared to the national goal rate for that student across time. As you review your own child's scores and graphs, please let the Student Advocacy and Support Services staff know if you need more information. We are here to answer any questions and put you in touch with the right Lawrence professionals to better understand all that Lawrence has to offer. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this process and taking the time to better understand your student at Lawrence.